Hey guys, welcome to day number 17 of the 30-day practice blueprint. Don here. Today, for the next period of time, we're going to be kind of 80-20, which means kind of looking what the most important use of your time. What are the 80% of the things that you don't need to do, and what are the 20% of the things that produce 80% of your results? And we're going to look at different areas in our practice. And I'm going to start with some of the more obvious ones. Okay, we're going to talk about like time today, then we're going to talk about email, then we're going to get into like DME, and then in office dispensing and other things like that. But why? Well, we don't have a ton of time, and you guys don't have a ton of time. So I'm trying to keep these things under 10 minutes so they can give you value. So the three or four things I want to talk about today are block time, using your spare time, technology disruption, and dedicated workspace. So let's first talk about block time. If you guys haven't heard of this, it's a whole idea of like blocking certain periods of time to do certain things. I want to give you an example just in the office. My block time for routine nail care is Fridays. That's the day I do it. I don't do it any other day. There's other doctors that have other days. I'm doing on Friday. There's another doctor that does it on Tuesday mornings. There's another doctor that does this. So basically, by we all blocking our time, that's the only time we have available for it, and it can't be scheduled outside of the time. It does two things. Once, it makes us all do the same thing that we don't like doing a ton of. That's our practice, but they can double book everyone within that, and everyone kind of chats with each other, and it gets it done. Something that has to be done, unless we had like an assistant. You may have an assistant that does it. We don't do that in our practice. That's one thing we block time. When I was learning ultrasound, I used to have an ultrasound block day. So what that means is I would see all my ultrasound and I would schedule everyone. And in the beginning, I wasn't charging. I was just learning how to do it. And I used to schedule 5 or 6 ultrasounds at a time so I could get proficient at it. I did the same thing with Shockwave. I used to schedule all of them one after another so I could get more proficient. I find that blocking your time together makes it much more efficient. The same thing with surgery. We have surgical block time. Mine's the 3rd Wednesday of the month. That's my block time. Okay. But let's now take that into other types of activities. So I have email block time, and I would recommend everyone has email block time. If you do use social media, I don't use any social media, but you could have social media block time. What that means in my life is that I only check my email at noon. Okay, so I give myself a little bit of time, and like we talked about before with that Parkinson's law, your activity will fill the amount of time you give it. So I give myself during my lunch hour. Okay, that's the time. Usually ends up being only about 10 minutes. And so in that 10 minutes, I use these protocols to take care of my email. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, more email, how to like be more efficient with email. Okay, so that's a great way of blocking your time, restricting it. And then what you don't get done, you don't get done. Because once again, email is someone else's priorities over yours. So if you're a person that's living intentionally, that you have the things that you want to get done. For me, what I do usually during my lunch hour is I record my interviews. So I interview people and I set it up via Calendly. Once again, with Calendly, I give them the block times that I have available to schedule interviews, and people can schedule those things with me. Another way of using block time, I schedule my time that I want people to see me. I make that available to them and they can choose. Okay. If my times don't work, occasionally if I really want to meet the person, I'll get in early, or I'll meet them early, or do something like that. So that's a really good idea for block time. Another good block time would be having a block learning time. This is something that's really important for me. So there's a good book called The Miracle Morning, and I will include that for you guys. Miracle Morning. It basically talks about having your own little morning routine. And I have that block time in the morning where there's no distraction. So usually what I do in the morning is I have my 5-minute journal. I read my Bible. I do my other like positive reading types of things. I'm probably drinking my coffee, other things so it's my block time, and it's a learning time where I can read a book and kind of get inspired. Okay. That's my block time. Okay. So you have to have these times set aside. But to do that, I really want to share with you about this. I'm going to skip using the spare time. I'm going to go right to no technology disruption. So this is a key for me. What normally people get stuck in is this loop. They look at their email, they look at their cell phone, they look at maybe their WhatsApp, they look at their Facebook, and then they go back and they do this. So anytime like between patients, they're just doing that rotation, going through all this stuff. This is a great waste of time if for people that don't have anything else to do. Okay. And it's purely an addiction. Okay. It's an addiction. That's why we do it. And so I try to get rid of all my technology disruptions. So first of all, I take off all of my notifications on the cell phone. So there's no notifications whatsoever. I only have stuff that comes through via people calling me, right? So people can call me, and I forward things to my office. So they actually call the office to get a hold of me. That's the way I do it. I'm very kind of strict about time because I don't want to be distracted. And then I will either listen to voicemails or something like that at a time when I want to. In the past, I was even more strict. I didn't even have my cell phone on. And recently, I think I've told you guys about this before. I do have a smartphone, but I switched recently. But I don't use that smartphone. So I have a Samsung. I went from iPhone to Samsung because I thought I wanted this stylus thing, and I never even used that. But I went to a dumb phone. This is where I'm actually phone and text message. It's a pain in the butt to text, okay? Because it's the 9 key thing, and you have to do ABC. It's horrible. So I don't want to text anyone. So I just call people. I do look at WhatsApp, and that's a way to communicate with people. But I don't have Facebook. I only use LinkedIn to post stuff, so it automatically posts things to LinkedIn. So I try to reduce, and I recommend everyone reducing your distractions. That would be the notifications. Okay, if you're finding you're checking your email like 10 or 15 times a day, you don't need to. We're not that important. I check I'm in my EMR all the time because that's where a lot of these notifications come through on patients and things like that. So if you can reduce your technology consumption and distraction, it's key. And so in what you do is you train people for email, for example. You train them. Hey, I check my email at noon. You just tell people I check my phone at noon. And what really helps me, instead of leaving my phone on my desk, I actually put it in my backpack. So that's another tip. Just so it's not, if it's out there, I'm going to look at it. Right. Same thing with the cell phone. I found when I had the smartphone on the internet all the time, I was always looking at it just because I had internet and I was just driving, looking at it and things like that. So that's the second one, was no technology disruption. The third would be to use spare time. Now, this is something I think I learned from some Brian Tracy books. He's like an efficiency expert. And I've been doing this for years and years. So a couple of things I do, you're going to kind of laugh at me maybe. I know we're getting to know each other with day 17 here. When I think I was 17, I stopped watching TV. So I met this guy. He was doing a PhD program, and he didn't have a TV in his house. And he's like, yeah, I don't have a TV. I said, well, what do you do? I thought you were going to die. Like, I was watching MTV all the time. And he said, I just stopped watching it. And I was like, wow, that intrigued me. It kind of challenged me. And so I stopped watching TV for about 20 years, and I didn't have a TV till I was finished with residency. And I got married, and now I have a couple of kids. So we have a TV to watch like stuff on YouTube for the kids, but I just don't have a habit of watching sports, TV, anything else like that, only because it frees up spare time to do other things. Now, if you free up this time and you have nothing to do, it's going to be a waste. So you have to do like learning thing. That's what I like to do, or get a hobby or something else, whatever you want to do. But you have to fill that time up. It's the same thing for me when I don't eat all day. That's why I do my interviews at noon, because like I have this extra time and I want to fill it up and I want to make use of it, so I don't have to make use of it when I'm with my family at home. So kind of using that spare time. So for me, there's always something when I'm driving, there's spare time. So I'm either podcasting, making these the podcasts that I do on with my little headset, or I'm listening to a book, or I'm kind of talking to someone. That's kind of what I do when I drive. When I'm at work between patients, that's when I'm creating this content. Right. I create this, I create other types of videos between patients when I have little breaks, because just like you guys, I have breaks between patients sometimes. And so that's when I try to utilize this time. So using your spare time is really key. You don't realize how much time you have spare. If you ever just keep track of it, how much like spare time you have a ton of time. So if you want to write a book, you could write a book. If you want to do a video, you can do a video. Like, you have all this time. And instead of just playing video games on your phone or something, like, try to utilize this time reading a book, buying a good book, some of these books that I've recommended. And then the last thing, the fourth thing, would be, in terms of time management, is I like to have a dedicated workspace. I know this seems obvious, but there are certain environments where I can work, and there's other environments where I can't. And I like to separate. Like, I like to not do work at home, and I like to kind of keep it at the job. And so I have dedicated workspaces where I do work, and there's other spaces that are joy spaces, or spaces where I'm just enjoying my family. So I think that's really key to get in the mood of doing some type of work, or creative work, or recording videos or something like that. You have to have this dedicated workspace. So I have a workspace upstairs where I do my morning routine, where I'm drinking my coffee, I'm reading my books, have everything right there. And when you have these dedicated workspaces, you have everything right there that you need. And so you don't have to go around looking for it. It's all right there. So that's the last thing would be this dedicated workspace. A guy named Brian Tracy, he has a couple of good books. I'm going to put them down here. You guys might like. One's called Eat the Frog, and he has another one that talks about like productivity. So you might like some of those. Okay. Once again, hope you guys found this helpful. If you did, please put a comment. Like, are there other hacks that really work well for you, so you can help other people that are listening? Put other hacks that you have for your time. And if you haven't referred someone, refer someone over. I'll send you a special bonus. I finally finished that bonus. Before it was just a dream. Now I actually have a bonus I can give you guys. And I will see you guys tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to talk about how to conquer email. Okay. Thanks, guys.